I wasn't sure if I was going to add myself to the stage, but I'm having a really good hair day. I was just reading a headline that James Hudson's mindless penalties helped sink the Giants. 4 penalties on the first drive. And a penalty where he swings at a guy. And I love it because Brian Daboll came out in his presser, defended James Hudson on that penalty. Said, well, he wasn't really swinging at the guy. The guy slipped. Okay. It's like, officer, listen, I didn't mean to hit the guy. His face ran into my fist. Does that make any sense? He slipped. So it wasn't as bad as it wasn't as bad as I thought. It wasn't as terrible as I thought. This game was a complete and utter disgrace and failure for the Giants. It would have been better if they lost by 50, to be honest. Because losing 40-37 on that field goal, it was funny because the Giants just came down and scored. They were Dallas was down a field goal. 20 something seconds left. And I literally went down to my office. My wife's going, oh, where are you going? I said, I'm going to go make a thumbnail about the Giants losing. She goes, no, they're not going to lose. She goes, they're winning. I said, yeah, I know. I said, I know. But you could see the writing on the wall. I have not seen a 41-point fourth quarter since the NBA, since the Knicks. I haven't seen that. And the fact that people are reveling in the fact that we almost beat the Cowboys, it just shows we can compete. I've said this before, and I said this on the stream that I was on the other day, the Cowboy stream I was on the other day. I said it very simply. The Cowboys secondary, their soft zone secondary, is just as bad as ours. And I said any competent quarterback who can read a zone is going to be able to pick apart this secondary. And lo and behold, what happened? On both ends of the ball. Dak Prescott, 38 for 52 for 361. Russell Wilson, 30 for 41 for 450 and 3 touchdowns. And for the morons, and there are a lot of morons. I'm going to get to the pathetic corners. in a minute. There are a lot of morons out there that are blaming this. A lot of them are just mainly giant content creators because most of them are morons, are blaming the loss on Russell Wilson because of the bad interception. The guy that kept you in the game, the guy that gave you the lead with 20 plus seconds left, the guy that literally brought you back on numerous occasions, you are blaming for losing the game because of the interception. I always love it. I always harken back to what Bill Parcells said years ago. A game is not won or lost on one play. You should never be in that position where one play is deciding the game. A game is won or lost on plays throughout the entire game, a series of plays, maybe 5 or 6, 7 plays, not just one play. What's up, Ask Me Timmy? Not just one play. This was a fundamental failure by a defensive coordinator. And if you watch, and we're going to get into the offensive coordinator, we're going to get into Cam Scatterman, we're going to get into Drew Phillips, we're going to get into all these misconceptions of all these players, because we're going to get into it in a minute. I have to try to keep my train of thought here. I've watched Shane Bowen for years when he was with the Titans. Everyone knows that because of Malik Willis and everything else. So I was a quasi Titan fan for almost 3 years. And I watched his secondaries from when Jim Schwartz was there. We've talked about this a million times, to when and where he was without Jim Schwartz. And the secondaries have always been god awful outside of the safety position. And this is the same thing. Paulson Adebo, Banks looked horrid. Everyone's going to talk about Drew Phillips and how Drew Phillips with his 11 tackles, 8 solo, that great pass defense, and that interception in the end zone. Yes, great interception in the end zone. Yes, 100%. But I keep bringing this up over and over again, and no one wants to fucking listen. He's still giving up like 75% completion percentage. And the reason he's making a ton of tackles is because people are catching the ball. You stop them from catching the ball, You do not have to make a tackle. It's rudimentary football. And yes, the interception was nice. The play at the end on Pickens was nice. Yes, 100%. But when you are still giving up 75, 80% completion percentage at 10 yards a reception, and you make the tackle, I refer to that as Aaron Robinson. So we need to, that's number one issue we have to deal with. But we have no linebackers. Our linebackers are pedestrian and pathetic. We've been saying that on this channel for how long? That God forbid we ever go out and get a real linebacker. And I don't think anyone really wants to talk about Abdul Carter. Oh, Abdul Carter. One tackle, and I think he played, 67 snaps? He's projected right now to have 4.3 sacks the entire season with 34 tackles. I think he literally played like 67 snaps. He was not only a non-factor, he was non-existent for the same reasons I have talked about over and over again. He is an undersized defensive end who is not very good as a weak side or an off-the-ball linebacker. Watching him get lost in the sauce was beyond, literally was beyond concerning. And I've talked about this before, and we talked about this before the Giants even drafted the kid. Use him on third downs. Use him as a situational pass rusher. Take advantage of his speed. He may only get like 38 tackles, but he can still come up with 12 and a half sacks. 100%. But don't put him in a position where you have him in a linebacker-esque position, because this guy is going to get buried in coverage. He is going to get buried on other sides of the ball, and he's not strong enough to hold up at the point of attack for the run. That's just it. And that's not me trying to put the kid down. This is what the kid is. And he is not stout enough to hold the edge. He's not. We're going to get to Dexter. We're going to get to Dexter Lawrence too. I'm going to get to everyone, but I got to just get all this off my chest. He's not stout enough to hold up against the edge. He's not stout enough to hold up against the run. He is a speed guy, and the speed guy that doesn't do much else besides rush, cannot do much else besides rush the passer. That's what Abdul Carter is. I said this before the draft, and I'm not calling him a bust. I don't put that in my mouth, but I am telling you, I said way before the draft, Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter they could both have star potential, but both have busts written all over them. And I'm not calling this kid a bust after 2 games, but in a 40-point game, 40-37, you gave up 40 points. You are nowhere to be found and have a defensive impact, even after Darius Muasau went out with the concussion. You played more. You got Schwartz Bozeman at one point in there. I mean, I'm looking at some of the guys that we have. I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? I keep going back to the major league thing. Who the fuck are these guys? Bobby Okereke to me is shot. We're not even want to get into that. But when you have such a pedestrian and pathetic linebacking core behind an undersized defensive line that does their edges should basically, you should not have three. You should not. And this is what kills me. I've been saying this over and over again. You cannot put these 3 motherfuckers on the field at the same time. Because if I am a legitimate NFL quarterback and I see these 3 guys on the field, you know what I'm doing? I've said it before. Dak did the exact same thing. I'm either going right after Abdul Carter, I'm going to the left and avoiding the rush, and I'm going to have an understanding that my line, if it's stout and strong and sturdy, like the Cowboys kind of have, not like they did 3 years ago, I can wall speed rushers by pushing them to the outside. And if you're getting no push in the middle from Dexter Lawrence, you're going to give up 40 points. Think about that. This is not, and I love when people go, well, you're so smart at this and this, but I'm not smart at this. I can see. I see what's in front of me. I have been saying this since training camp in reference to this soft zone shit. I have been saying there have been huge gaps in this zone that Russell Wilson was exploiting all through training camp. And if you continue to do this and run this style defense, a professional quarterback, and there's 3 of them in our division, and Jalen Hurts, Dak Prescott, and Jaden Daniels, they are going to destroy you. You at one point in time were playing 15 yards off the fucking ball. Off to your fucking man. I'm watching Paulson Adebo 15 yards back. And this was on the drive with the 64-yard field goal. I'm like, what the hell is going on? You can creep to the line. It's okay. We're not going to stop you from doing that. But I'm going to keep saying this. You have 3 guys. You have 11 guys on the field. You have 3 guys that do the exact same thing. You put those 3 guys on at once, you are at a 9-11 disadvantage. Plain and simple. Brian Burns, I keep telling people, I like Brian Burns as a player. I like Brian Burns as a pass rusher. I don't like Brian Burns as a full-time defensive end. Same with Kayvon Thibodeau. You know what that kills me? You literally fucking have Booby Miles Sanders running for a 6-yard touchdown. You got Williams running for 97. You got Dak with another 7. You gave up 135 yards on 28 carries for 4.8 yards a carry and 2 touchdowns because you were undersized in not only your linebacking core, but your defensive end position. And you have no middle linebacker and you have no true outside linebackers who understand how to maintain their assignment and not only rush the passer, but control the edge against the run. I was screaming all this offseason and all this draft. You need some outside linebackers. Fuck, you even had Shane Bowen. What do you need? I need 2 linebackers and a defensive end. What about Brian Burns? And I'm not throwing any aid to Shane Bowen. That motherfucker should be shot out of a cannon. We need to go to Ringling Brothers because I think they went out of business. Get that giant cannon and shoot him over to Camden. Give him a helmet and we'll set up a net. He'll be fine. You ran the ball 21 times for 84 yards. Everyone, you have morons that just don't understand Cam Scatterbo. You have morons that are like, see, I told you he could have done this. He ran the ball 11 times for 45 yards. 24 of those yards came on 1 carry. So he was 10 for 21 the other rushes. Tyrone Tracy on that play is a touchdown. Both the safety and the corner cut the edge and got to him. He is Wayne Gallman with a little less speed. Tyrone Tracy, to me, if you play that same play, is 6. You set that up beautifully. That play, I got to give Mike Kafka 100% credit. That play was set up beautifully because you ran it earlier in the game with Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson got like 4 yards before he ran out of gas and had to sit down. You came into the same formation. You came into the same set. Dallas recognized the play. They're like, oh, shit, Jaxson Dart is back there. They're going to run the same play they ran with Russ. They fell for it, left the field wide open from Scatterbo, and Scatterbo gets stopped at the 1 because the corner and the safety both ran him down. But all the other times he ran the ball 10 times for 21 yards. He's Wayne Gallman. And you give him 11 carries over Tyrone Tracy? Tyrone Tracy's supposed to be your featured back. How about we run the clock a little bit? How about we not let Russ throw the ball 41 times? Wan'Dale Robinson had a great game. Wan'Dale Robinson, 8 receptions, 142 for 17 and a touchdown. Had that 50-yard long pass, was targeted 10 times. But does anyone want to talk about when he stopped running in overtime? Anyone talk about when he stopped? Anyone want to talk when he stopped running his route in overtime? And then was like, oh shit, he's throwing me the ball. We don't want to talk about that, do we? I don't want to talk about that because that's great. Malik Neighbors was your savior, of course. 167, 18.6, 2 touchdowns. I said it on the Alabama show or whatever the guy's name was. I can't remember next. I'm so pissed. Said it before that the Giants could pick apart. Russell Wilson could pick apart this soft zone, and I said the same thing with Dak Prescott that he's going to pick apart. He could pick apart this soft zone, and that's what happened. You when you do not get a rush. And you are playing this zone and you're allowing guys to get down the field, bad things are going to happen. And I want Giant fans, just in general, Giant fans, not just to look at stats, because that pisses me off. Don't look at stats. Watch the game. If you have 67 plays and 4 of them are really good, that's great. But what happens to the other 63? It's the reverse of Evan Neal. Evan Neal said the same thing. Evan Neal said, I can have 40 plays, 37 of them are technically sound, but 3 of them I suck. You only concentrate on the 3. So it's reverse when we like the guy, and it's the other one we don't like the guy. But Brian Daboll not taking Hudson and throwing him out, pulling him out of the game is beyond me. When Jameis Winston has to come down and sit there and calm him down, it's literally mind-numbing. It is mind-numbing. And what sucks is we went up against the Dallas defense that was depleted in the secondary, was depleted in their ability to rush the passer because of the loss of Parsons. We literally could have. This was the game to take advantage of. This was the game to take advantage of because now we have an 0-2 Chief team coming in on primetime. Then we play the Chargers. Now listen to me. Listen, I'm going to tell you this right now. The Chargers aren't pushed. Everyone's giving the Giants a Charger win, which I don't understand. I don't understand, but because the Chargers are actually the Chargers are a well-coached, disciplined team. You might have a shot against the Saints, Lord only knows. And then you got the Eagles, the Broncos, and the Eagles and the 49ers. And of course, hopefully Brock Purdy's not back before that November 2nd game. But we just have to stop and think a minute about what this team is and what this team does and what this team does well. If we look at it, what they do well, you can't even say they rush the passer well. You can't say they stop the pass well, which I love the people because people are like, oh, the second, so this guy's playing great in the secondary. Well, you're playing in a secondary that's given up like 800 yards in 2 games. That means no one in the secondary is playing well. If we want to be honest, you don't stop the run. We can't stop the pass. We're undersized at our edges. Our corners are playing horribly. And Holland at times, and I like I said, Holland, I was hoping for a bounce back. But Holland looks, I'm not going to say he looks shot, but he doesn't look much better than Dane Belton. And I love what I saw somewhere on Twitter. They're like, well, the Giants defense played okay. You gave up 40 points. Literally, like I said, with 20 seconds left, no timeouts or whatever it was, 1-2 timeouts, whatever it was. Cowboys have the ball. We're up by 3. I tell the wife, I'm going to go downstairs. Make my thumbnail. And she goes, what is it going to say? I said, Giants lose. And she's like, well, you're winning. I'm like, no. You literally could see. And when you watched how far the defensive backs played off the wide receiver, it was maddening. It was mad. It reminds me of Patrick Graham at times. Because Patrick Graham at times did the same thing. And it's one of those things you look at it and you're just like, what the fuck are we doing? What are we thinking? I don't know. I don't know. And I love when people are like, well, it's just a run of bad luck because the Giants just have just have bad luck. There's more to this than just bad luck. It's almost like we are not well disciplined. We are not to the point where it's like, okay, you've had all off season, you had all training camp, you had all of this, you had all the preseason, and you still don't look polished going into week 3. And I still, and to people's point, I don't know what's going on with Dexter Lawrence. Maybe he's still hurt. I love how people say, well, he's trying to play himself back into shape. What was training camp for then? I always thought in my mind, training camp, mandatory minicamp was to get you back in shape, to get you in shape to play football, not the first 6 weeks of the season. And I've said this before. It's not a run of bad luck for the Giants. It's the simple fact that our coach.
I don't know. It seems like bad things are always happening to me. Like I have bad luck or something.
Son, you don't have bad luck. The reason that bad things happen to you is because you're a dumbass.
That's our coaching staff in a nutshell. The Mike and bringing in Jaxson Dart. You have a rhythm passer and a 37-year-old, soon to be 37-year-old Russell Wilson, who was having a career game. And you swap him out for Jaxson Dart. Yes, the one play worked. The other play was a 3.5-yard loss. And I kept saying this to people. If you're going to have a package for Jaxson Dart, you better have to make sure it's a positive play. Because you cannot break the rhythm of the offense by taking a loss by bringing in Jaxson Dart. They fell for it. Like I said, they fell for it big time. Dallas bit big time on that run, bit big time on it. They thought they were all going to the outside. They literally thought that Jaxson Dart was going to run the same play Russell Wilson had run earlier and only got 4 yards. So they were prepared to take it out wide. They fell for it, hook, line, and sinker. And I love the Marcus Bow thing. Just give the kid a minute, would you please? People just give the kid a minute right now. Because people are like, oh, Marcus Bow can play. You played against a team that can't rush the passer. Yeah, he plays better than James Hudson the third. Larry. But that doesn't mean anything. He gave up a bunch of hits and hurries, but he did an okay job. Go back and look at his hurries and hits. He did an okay job, but he also went up against a team that really doesn't have a pass rush. But again, we don't want to see what's in front of us. People want to look at the stats. Oh, I gotta look at the stats. Coach Dave said, Fable Daboll does everything opposite of what he needs to do. Daboll he's a charlatan. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing. He looks like the part of it. Coach. He doesn't understand game man. Oh God, I forgot this part. I'm watching the game and I had Joe Judge flashbacks. Brian Daboll challenged a play that was not challengeable. I was like, oh, dear Lord. Have we not learned this from Joe Judge? He challenged a play that you can't challenge. Thank God, which I don't understand why, but I give the NFL credit. It didn't cost us the timeout. It cost Joe Judge a timeout, but they must have felt sorry for Brian Daboll. Dude, listen, I feel sorry for him. Okay, listen. The Ozempic must be affecting your brain because evidently you can't challenge this play. But you decide to challenge it anyways. Who the fuck is 55? That's Hudson. It's gonna be. I even said it to young Ryan from Ryan's Big Blue Podcast. I even told him. I said, listen, Somewhere Gary Reasons is punching a wall. Oh, Blackbird hit his parlay. The big question is, Blackbird, did you go on FanDuel, the number one site in America for sports betting? Did you go to FanDuel.com? Giants were 5.5-point dogs. Of course, they did not cover. What was your parlay with the number one sports book in America? You bet $5, you get $300 in bonus bets if you win. Go there, play their casino games. 500. You know what I was looking at the other day? You could get 500 if you're in the casino games. 500 bonus spins for new players. Get up to $1,000 back in casino bonuses. Got to go learn more about the offer. Go play the big Huff and Puff game. I'm dying to see what the line is now. I don't know what the line is against Kansas City. Does anyone go on the venerable FanDuel and see what the line is against against Kansas City next week? I do notice that Baltimore, Buffalo, and the Eagles in Green Bay are favorites to go to the Super Bowl. The Giants are plus 35,000. Giants are plus 35,000 to go to the Super Bowl. I'm taking that. I'm putting that down on a $10 bet. Mr. What says soft zone annoys the hell out of me, bro. It's one thing that if you're up by 2 scores, but man, you are up by a field goal and the other team has reincarnated for a kicker. That guy Aubrey just wasn't missing. That's what I told my wife. I'm going to go downstairs and say the Eagles lose. The Giants win. Giants lose. That's my thumbnail. Because I knew it. I knew it. I literally knew it. You could see it because this is just what the Giants do. Matt says, what can we do realistically right now to adjust with the personnel and coaching that we have? That's a great question. That is a great question. I think offensively, Russell Wilson is going to have some good days, but there are going to be matchup issues against certain teams. The offense was perfect for Dallas because of the fact that they play the same soft zone shit that we play. They have no pass rush, and they were without their other corner, their other starting corner. So, and also their other safety was hurt. So it was a perfect whirlwind. And that was the thing. It was perfect. It was set up beautifully for the Giants to take advantage of the situation. I kept saying this. Giant fans are going to have to understand this is truly going to be a week-to-week season because we are going to have to take every matchup and look at it exponentially and sit there and say, okay, what can we do to exploit X? Because our weaknesses outweigh our strengths. Especially on defense. Your weakness right now is supposed to be your strength in your defensive line and your pass rush. Because 3 undersized rushers are not going to get to the quarterback. If you get to play with 11 guys, it's almost like you're playing with 9. Because you're going to have moments where they get the quarterback. You're also going to get moments where they are going to stonewall a brick wall because none of them are a power rusher. There's no power moves here. It's all speed. And the problem is relying on speed when you have a bend not break soft zone type secondary where you have issues at corner and safety. Well, then there's going to be a lot of problems. And you have no linebackers. So if they can get through that first level, Bobby Okereke, who looks a little bit shot, you are going to see chunks of yards against teams that should not run against you, a la Washington and Dallas. The easiest way to fix it defensively, the easiest way, if you look at it from a defensive perspective, you have no linebackers. We literally have no linebackers. I don't think there's anyone out in the free agent market that's worth bringing in at this point in time because it's going to take you at least 3 weeks to get them up to speed and ready to play. I don't think there's anyone that's really of trade value to give away assets if you think you're going to have a bad season. But you're going to have to bring in somebody. And you need to bring in some professional. I don't care if they're older. You need to bring into some professional linebackers who may not have the ability that they did a few years ago, but they understand where they need to be. Because if you watch the Giant linebacking core, and safeties, a lot of times they don't have no fucking clue where they're supposed to be. Know your assignment and play your assignment. Don't freelance. Play your assignment. mix up some man-to-man coverage, bring up Tyler Nubin, and Tyler Nubin to me got exposed again yesterday. Bring up Tyler Nubin, play him more as an in-the-box safety a la Peppers Logan Ryan. Let him be that quasi linebacker. And you might have to rely on the likes of Dane Belton, which is probably going to cost you in the long run, but you got to find a way to stop the sieve that is the running game, because teams in the first 2 weeks are effectively using the running game to set up the pass. Offense, it's going to be offense. You got to run the ball. You got to figure out a way to run the ball. You got to figure out a way to control the clock. You have to figure out a way to have this. No Isaiah Simmons. I saw someone say Isaiah. No Isaiah Simmons. No Isaiah Simmons. There is a reason Isaiah Simmons is when I no Isaiah Simmons. He's another guy I said was going to be a bust. So I was told I didn't know a clue what I was talking about. But no Isaiah Simmons. But you're going to have to figure that out. And you're going to have to establish a run game, because you are not going to get 400 yards every week from Russell Wilson, as much as the fan base thinks that's what's going to happen. You're not going to get 400 yards every week. He could probably watch him put up 170 next week, because he's going up against a different style defense. He's going up against a well-coached, well-disciplined Steve Spagnuolo defense. If there was ever a defensive coordinator that I can think of that should be in the Hall of Fame solely as a defensive coordinator, it should be Steve Spagnuolo. So that's kind of what you're going to have to do. Trent says soft zone is the worst. Yeah, it is. I'm not going to lie. Showtime. Hey, Tim Abdul Carter forced an interception with a hit on the back. That's impact. Okay. He played 67 snaps. Had one tackle. No sacks. They ran past him. They threw over him. But Showtime, that's impact. Oh, dear Lord. Thor, what's up, Thor? Wood chipper for Bowen. No, cannon. Ringling Brothers, I think, is out of business. We'll get the big cannon. We'll set the net up in Camden, New Jersey. We'll load him in the cannon. We'll give him a helmet. And then we'll fire him out of the cannon. And he'll go right into the net in Camden. We're done. Done. I bet you guys miss Wink now. Trent says, I'd rather have the guy play man all game and lose than play soft zone and get scared. Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Coach D says, I want a Penix trade out for Neighbors and then draft an offensive lineman. Listen, Neighbors was the right pick for the Giants. You got to say it. Neighbors was a nice pick, but I said the same thing. I wanted Penix too. I wanted Penix as well. And I said, trade down to get Penix, get an offensive lineman. And you could have grabbed a wide receiver later, because you got wide receivers that same draft are making an impact not just as much, but on the same level as Malik Neighbors. Oh, I know, Coach T. We never know what we're talking about. Robert says the case against Joe Shane and Brian Daboll's continued employment has a mountain of evidence. It's only a matter of when, if not, they're going to be gone. I don't know. I hope to God you're right. Because the mayor has been running this team into the ground for years now. So I hope to God you're right. Frank, what's up, Big Frank? Hey, Tim, God bless, brother. Yesterday proved my prediction. They will be a fun 7-10 season. I'm sick and tired of the inability to stop the run. Frank, if you can't stop the run and you can't stop the pass and you give up 40 points like it was nothing, like you give up 40 points like you're the 2024 Cincinnati Bengals, you better figure out something, because Russell Wilson is not going to live through this season. I want to trade out for Carter and draft a defense end and another lineman. Well, you know what, Coach D? I'm gonna be honest with you. What was everyone in the chat that follows this channel knows what I wanted to do? Trade out, get Tyler Warren, and then you could still trade back up and get your quarterback if you want. Build additional assets and grab a couple offensive linemen. Why? Because what will Tyler Warren do? Tyler Warren will open up the middle of the field for you. Tyler Warren will create a mismatch on the inside, which will pull the safety away from Malik Neighbors. And he just had another 4 receptions for 79 yards, almost 20 yards on average. on 7 targets yesterday. And Jonathan Taylor is a great back, but he is benefiting from Tyler Warren because of the fact that Jonathan Taylor has already run for 236 yards and on 43 carries. Because why? You can open the middle of the field with a tight end that has the ability to get a yak. But Coach Dave, we don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what we're talking. Wan'Dale gave up on that route. Wan'Dale had a great game. No doubt about it. But football is played every single play. You can't stop running your route and then try to be like, oh shit, he's throwing it at me, and then try to run again. Chiefs 0-2 and peeved. Things are going to get ugly next week at the Swamp Toaster. I agree. Wan'Dale stopped because the controller got unplugged by his headset. That's probably what happened. I know why he stopped. I just figured it out. I got to get to it. Hold on. Why did Wan'Dale stop? Hold on. Wow, it's all the way down there. Why is it all the way down there? There we go. Wan'Dale stopped because of...
This is Ghost Rider requesting a flyby.
Negative, Ghost Rider. The pattern is full.
Wan'Dale Robinson found out the pattern was full. He's like, well, I'm going to have to stop. Papa Smurf Moonballs on FanDuel. FanDuel.com. Yeah, how about we take the points instead of going for it on 4th and 2? That made 0 sense to me. Russell Wilson looked like he was 25 years old yesterday. He did. Russell Wilson played an awesome game. Everyone wanted to throw the baby out with the bathwater last week. And I kept trying to tell people Russell Wilson is a professional quarterback. I'm not even a fan of Russell Wilson. But he's a professional quarterback. And you give him time and you put a zone in front of him, he could pick it apart. But you're not going to get 25-year-old Russell Wilson every week. I hope to God we do. Emmanuel says, so we're going to sign a linebacker or 4 because we don't have any depth. We probably need to sign about 4. There is such a problem with this lack thereof linebacking core. There is such a problem. There really is. And I don't know. Putting Abdul Carter, Brian Burns, or Kayvon Thibodeau in a linebacker-esque position is not going to be the answer. Is truly not going to be the answer for this team. And it's going to cause more problems if you do this. And I don't know how the Giants can look into this and say, okay, listen, that would be a smart move. Cause I don't see that. I don't literally see that as a smart move. I don't see that. I'm actually scouring right now to see if there's anyone out there that would be any bit available for the Giants. And there's really no one out there that I'm looking at saying, okay, that's a guy that the Giants could bring in. But the linebacking core is just so putrid. And when you have 3 undersized defensive ends that can't set the edge. What's up, Lee? I don't know what to do. Off Broadway. How do you play prevents against a team whose kicker can make a 7-yard field goal? They even mentioned at one point the guy was bombing the kicks today. James Stein said, I have seen enough of this shit show to know that Joe Shane and Brian Daboll are not GM levels head coaches, respectively. They're incompetent to say the least. They did not build a roster well. No. James has hit that like button. Yeah, hit the like button. Hit the like, you 106 people. Hit the like button. We're at 44. That's actually pretty good. Get up to 70, though. Blackbird says, we dominated the top of the end of the first quarter, and we only had 6 points to show for it. Well, that's because of Mr. Hudson. Why do you not pull Hudson out earlier? After that second penalty, even the third penalty. Why didn't you pull him then? And then you take a swing at somebody? And then you defend him and say, what happened was, it really wasn't a penalty. His man slipped and he was just swinging in the air. At one point, I'm saying, you know what? I would have been more. I think I would have been. I would have taken Daboll's excuse better, or a different excuse, if he just says he was just waving his hands in the air, just like he just don't care. Hip hop, hooray! Oh, I would have taken that. Chargers are good this year. They are. Hudson belongs Psychotropics Rubber Room with some really nice people serving apple juice and cookies. Well, sometimes you could take cookies and sharpen them into a weapon. And no straw in the apple juice. And he was still pissed off that people, even when Malik Neighbors has to run over and try to calm you down. Yeah. Because Malik Neighbors is what we like to refer to as the king of cool, calm, and collective. Thank God for Jameis Winston. Trenton, was Aziz a healthy scratch? Oh, I didn't, well, good. Let's see. Mr. What? Oh, Tim, no one is giving the Giants a chance against the damn Chargers. Chargers are 100 times better than the Giants. The coach alone gives them a major upper hand in the game. I think we're going to get smoked by the Chargers. I really do. Jim Harbaugh is one hell of a coach. When Jim Harbaugh became readily available last year, and it was after Brian Daboll went 6-11, I have to admit, I was right there, and I was like, listen, we got Giant news. Let's see what Giant news is. Let's see Giant notification. I know it's just the Monday Rewind. I love it. Monday Rewind, full cap from yesterday's thrilling game in Dallas. You fucking lost. You propaganda eating motherfuckers on the Giants. You fucking lost. There's no moral victories. They always say moral victories is like kissing your sister. Highly exciting, but completely wrong. Mike Lee, what's up, Mike? Giants give false hope very well. They do. We gave up 361 passing yards. Yeah, we have no secondary. I'm Paulson Adebo right now because maybe he gets back into better NFL shape. I don't know. But right now, he looks like the guy that people thought he. Now, this is what I love, though. This is what I love about Paulson Adebo. Everyone's blasting Paulson Adebo for having a terrible game, but he had 11 solo tackles in a pass defense. Why is that not a wonderful game like Drew Phillips, who had 8 solos and 2 pass defenses in the interception? Why is that not a great game? Oh, because he gave up 361 yards passing. Chargers will smoke us. Yep. It's a long football season again. Already it is. What do we got here? Thor says it's a bunch of talent thrown at the wall, thrown at the field, and expected to have results is not coached properly. The weapons mean nothing. I've said this before, and I've said this since last year. The Giants are a cut and paste team. We are cutting talent from different places and pasting them on the field and hoping they work together even though they don't fit. And that's what this team is. Skyline, Tim, who do you want us on our next head coach? Daboll isn't going to last the season. If it keeps up, I still think Daboll gets fired after the second Philly game. If this keeps up, if we have one win going into that second Philly game, you got to fire him. You literally have to. There is, and I know the Giants are not much for in-season firings, but if you have let's say one win going into that second Philly game, you got to get rid of Brian Daboll. There should be no ifs, ands, or buts. And that second Philly game is let's see here. When is that second Philly game? Hold on, I forgot when the second Philly game. We play the Eagles on the 9th of October. Oh yeah, so it's 10/26. So October 26th. If you have one win. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which means you're 1-7. And then you're now 0-4 in the division going into the 49ers game. You got to fire Brian Daboll. There's no reason or rationale not to. Hung Dave says James Hudson, the first drive. Bowen is trash. I firmly believe Wink would have had a field day with these guys we have up front. Oh, dear Lord. Imagine Steve Wilkes. What he would have done with these guys up front. Imagine what Wink would have done with these guys up front. Wink would have been salivating because he could have recreated that Baltimore defense. What do people text me for? Yeah, I know. Imagine if we did. Just imagine we traded back and had Warren at tight end and did the rest of the draft similarly. Yeah, I agree. Thanks for texting me. But Wink or Steve Wilkes, who was available a week after we signed Shane Bowen, they would come up with a creative scheme, and Wink could have recreated what he did those first 4 successful seasons in Baltimore. Because you don't really need you linebackers are important in the Wink system, but they're not as important if you're using the rush the right way. Charlie says Chargers, Broncos, 49ers will smoke us. I bet the Chiefs in a surprise. James Williams says Russ gave us the lead twice in the fourth quarter. It was almost like an Eli Manning-esque game. The first season under Pat Shurmur, I think it was that was first season. Eli Manning gave the Giants the lead with under 2 minutes 6 times, and the Giants lost all but 2 of those games. And one of them, yes, was a 60-something yard field goal by Graham Gano, but that I had that feeling in that moment. He is a charlatan. I agree. Points left, and that's the thing. You don't leave points on the field. Bill Parcells says it all the time. 4th and 2, you have points in front of you. It's that early in the game. You don't leave the points on the field. Don't have points. You never leave pits. I like the Bradshaw picture in the back. Oh, thank you. That is an autographed Amon Bradshaw picture. I have a bunch of autographed Giant pictures. I only have a couple of them up. I got a stack of them in the trunk of the car. I really should put some of this. I got so much shit around here. I really should put some of this stuff up. If Thomas plays next week, where does Bo play? Sits on the bench. He's on the bench. Mr. Watt says it's time. Is it time to buy Malik Neighbors jersey? Yes, he complains a lot, but so far, man, he showed up and played out every game. I've seen him play. It's good for Wando's brother, the kid that is tough as hell. No, do not buy a Malik Neighbors jersey, because I have a feeling Malik Neighbors is not going to be on this team. I think he's going to force his way out next year. I swear they did everything in their power to destroy all the momentum they had. They did. Beloved Mercenary says a masterclass in defensive fuckery. There was some defensive fuckery going along here. I'm not going to lie to you. As you're hitting the like button, there was some defensive fuckery. 100%. There was some going on. Dave Christian says defensive coach Bowen sold this game for us. End of story. I've said this before with this. I said this going into this game. The Giants needed to control the clock. And I said it before, you need to run the ball. You need to establish the run and control the clock. Because and I said it on the stream, and I said it on the Cowboy show I was on, because if you don't and we run this zone, we're going to get picked apart. Plain and simple. You're going to get picked apart. I was on the Landlord show. That's it. That's the name. I keep forgetting his name. I was on the Landlord show. Good show. Good stream. I'm watching it right now. Landlord from Alabama, it was called. It was a good show. But I said the same thing. If you don't control the clock and you run this soft zone, you're going to get picked apart. Absolutely, Joe Judge flashback. Yes, when he did when he tried to challenge a play. But normally that's a penalty. Normally you lose a timeout. When you challenge a play, it's not challengeable. James one says when you put a magic trick and it works, you move on. You don't use the same trick on the same crowd on the same corner. The Jaxson Dart thing, I don't have a problem putting in a package or two for Jaxson Dart. I said this already. I said, if you are positive you are not going to get negative yards, because you are taking a guy who is having a career day and who is a rhythm passer and taking him out of the game for a Jaxson Dart run. And when they stay, like I said, I give Kafka 1,000% credit. He set that defense up. First of all, Dallas has a bad defense. Let's be honest. But he set that Dallas defense up when he ran that play earlier in the game with Russell Wilson, and he got 4 yards because Russell Wilson had to sit down and take a rest. When you get into your late 30s, you understand sometimes when you're running, you just got to sit down and take a rest. And that's what he did. And Dallas sat there, saw Jaxson Dart, saw the same formation, basically saw everything the same, and said, oh, shit, they are going to run this same play with a speedy Jaxson Dart. And what do? They run it up the middle. Scatterboo, 24 yards. And Jaxson Dart comes in again. Same play. It's like running the Wildcat. Again, but this time Dallas said, no, we're not falling for this shit. They stayed at home, maintained their edge, and it was a 3-yard loss. Yep, absolutely. It was a Joe Judge flashback. It really was. I was like, oh my God, Todd, what's up? Praise for a player because he didn't have a mental breakdown. That is what we praise for players now. Yes, if you don't have a mental breakdown, FanDuel only on here or banned. I have to get back. No, DraftKings. No. Blackbird, no. Zach is right. I'm not going to ban you because I'm tired. Just tired. Jay Ferrer says, what's gonna control James Hudson's the third without James? I don't know. James Hudson to me should be gone. James Hudson should have been left in the locker room. They should have snuck out. They should have told everyone, listen, when he goes in the shower, everyone just grab your shit and we're leaving. And for your head coach to defend him, had Brian Daboll, instead of saying, well, it really wasn't his fault on that play. The defender slipped, and he was just swinging. I'm Brian Daboll. There is no excuse for multitudes of penalties on a single drive. I should have sat him down earlier. We're going to have a conversation with him and discuss what happened on the field today. Because remember when Will Hernandez went fucking bonkers? Another one. We didn't pull him out when we should have. Mike Lee says we need to have someone who knows how to tackle and make the proper angle to the ball and teach that on the defense. I'm too old. I can't do that, Mike. I could come out of retirement, but I'm too old to do that. I just laugh because I'm watching the scat of everything, and I just laugh because I'm like, Tyrone Tracy scores. Devin Singletary scores. The corner and the safety literally cut the angle and took him down. And people are like, oh, look at that. Look, I told you could do this. And we forget about the other times he ran the ball 10 times for 2.4 yards. And it was some brilliant trickery in reference to Mike Kafka. No Isaiah Simmons. No, I already said no Isaiah Simmons. We're not doing that. We're not. James also says we have to raise the bar of expectations here seriously. Jabari Bruce says, still can't believe we lost the game. Oh, I knew we were going to lose. Like I said, literally, I was building the thumbnail. I didn't even know the score yet. And I was building the thumbnail. I laugh because here you go. Here we go. This is to me, it's funny. To me, it's funny. Hold on here. Let me do this. And let me do this. And let me do this. So I'm sitting there. And like I said, there's 20 seconds left. They haven't even lined up for a field goal yet. I have half the thing built, and then I did, and that was the thumbnail. and you could see when I cut the screen. That's when I took the screenshot. Literally, that's what I took. The game is still going on, and what do? I cut this out. Because I knew they were going to lose. And I was literally ready to do my video. People were laughing. When I was laughing, she's like, I can't believe that. Evan says the line looked better after Bo came in for Hudson. Well, Dallas has no rush. Dallas has no pass rush. New York fans says, am I the only one that's confident that we will beat the Chiefs after how we played the Cowboys? Probably. You're not going up against Dallas defense. You're going up against the Steve Spagnuolo defense. Steve Spagnuolo, in my mind, like I said earlier, should be a Hall of Famer as a defensive coordinator. His coaching history sucks. But he's 11-41 in his coaching history. This guy at 65 years old has been has coached. I shouldn't say coach, but has been part of defense coordinator position that he's a 4-time Super Bowl champion as a defensive coordinator. This is a guy that has built defenses and philosophies with players that probably should never even be that good. Can we imagine if the Colts make the playoffs and we were a 4-win team? Well, I keep saying we're a 5-win team, so I can imagine it. listen, as well as Daniel Jones played yesterday, he almost gave away the game twice. So I mean, let's be realistic. We've seen the Daniel Jones 300 yards, but I'm going to throw a bad interception or a fumble. That one guy, the one guy dropped Daniel Jones literally threw the ball to the one guy and he dropped it. Coach D says, I don't understand why we don't have a dozen screens scripted up with Tracy, Boo, and Wandale just juke. Because it's easy to defend. And knowing the Giants, they would run that ad nauseum. Kevin Gilbride. Oh, dear Lord. I got to tell a quick Kevin Gilbride story. Hakeem Nicks, when he first came into the league with Kevin Gilbride as the offensive coordinator, the Giants one play ran a quick out to Hakeem Nicks. Quick pass, 2 yards off the line. He took it 70. Every game for like 7 weeks after, they ran that play. Giants ran that play at least twice. And it never worked again. Because people were like, okay, this is what they're going to try to do. And I have a fear that's what Kafka's going to do. Jesse says that was probably the best one game he had so far, and I had him on the bench. Yeah, he had a great game. But in overtime, you can't stop running your route. We bashed Bobby Okereke last year for not running. We bashed Dante Banks for not running. Wandale does the same thing, but because he had a good game, we're going to overlook it. Yo, Daniel Jones are 2-0 and yet to punt the ball this season. This can't be life. Lee, what's up, Big Lee? This reminds me of the game back in the 60s. Giants scored 48 points against the Redskins, but they let up 4-7. Actually, I don't know that. I don't remember that game because I wasn't alive, but I do know that game. This is the kind of team that's like crappy teams aren't long season. Paul says Vrabel is why the Titans were better, not Bowen. I'm not a big fan of Mike Vrabel as a coach either. Coach D says, why aren't we running shallow crosses with Bellinger anymore? Because Bellinger's not any good. Bellinger outside of a couple weeks his rookie season is not a good player. Our running game is non-existent again, which is funny because it's usually easier to block going forward. Mark, Bud Light Home says that Andrew Thomas is going to play Sunday night. I hope he is. There's no indication that he is or he isn't at the moment. Let's see here. Emmanuel says, all done with the Banks experiment. There is no Banks experiment. We traded up to get him. We leapfrogged the team that didn't even take a corner. In the next 2 rounds, they didn't take a quarter. I love it. They're going to take a quarter. That's why we got to go ahead of them. Well, they didn't take a quarter in the first 3 rounds. So, yeah, that plan was moot. That was far from the truth. What was far? That was far from the what truth? Let's see here. Evan says, Joe Shane needs to be fired with Daboll. I see 0-4 start. We might not even beat the Saints. I hope we beat the Saints. The problem with the Saints is the Saints are at home. The Saints, no matter even going back to the 60s, the Saints played tough. They didn't win at home, but they played tough at home. What kills me is Mac Jones went 26 for 39 for 279 and 3 touchdowns versus the Saints. And they still won that game 26-21. That's still that befuddles me. It's funny because I was thinking about number 50. I was thinking about James. I was thinking about number 55, James Hudson III. Olave, how he should be immediately cut. Well, there is a story about the Saints in the 70s, and I don't remember who the head coach was, but they brought in a kick returner. The Saints did. And Hank Stram, I believe, was the coach. And they brought in a kick returner for one game, and the guy came in and he had a parrot on his shoulder. And the guy came in and he muffed and fumbled 2 punts. And they basically cut him on the way back to the locker room, and he shows back up to the locker room and his parrot's dead. So, I mean, I was like, does James Hudson own a parrot? Cuz can we just cut him now? Oh, Joe Shane says Joe Shane needs to be fired. Oh, we got that one. Skyline says, what do you think Wink would be okay with us head coaching? No, Wink would never come back after what happened. Wink would never come back. Remind me why we still have Jalen Hyatt? Because we can't get a room at the Ramada. Manuel says, ask yourself, what advantages do we have as a team? What do we do well? I know we lose so good. Yeah, I can't answer that. Well, Todd says Winston probably confused him into. That's actually pretty funny. Jameis Winston probably looked at him and said, listen, calm down. We'll eat some W's and get some crabs later. But like I said, when Jameis Winston and Malik Neighbors are your voice of reason, there's no leadership on this team. I've said this before. You think back to Giant teams, you had Harry Carson, you had Carl Banks, you had George Martin, you had Jesse Armstead, you had Antonio Pierce, you even had at certain times Justin Tuck. You had guys that were leaders in the locker room, that were captains. They were leaders in the locker room. This team has not as many captains as they usually do, but this team has a bunch of captains and no leaders. Russell Wilson is not a vocal leader. He is vanilla toast. He's Melba toast. He's not a leader in reference to being a vocal guy. Eli wasn't a vocal guy, but he was the stoic leader. This team doesn't have a leader that just sits everyone down and says, listen, guys, you have to learn how to win. They don't gift you games in the NFL. You have to take them, but you have to learn how to win. And that's the problem the Giants are having right now. Jay Ferris says it's as if our wide receiver pool card and got in an accident on the way to the game. Wouldn't we have wide receiver high at number one? No, never. Defense, Paul, very well. Sarcasm alert. I don't think that's.
He didn't think you go.
Warning, sarcasm. Warning, sarcasm.
There you go. Gotta find it. Grammy G says Bowen was bad hire from the beginning. He wasn't their first choice, and now we see why. Yeah, the kid from Tennessee that went to Tennessee was our first choice. I didn't like him too much of a defensive coordinator either. And you saw how well Tennessee played last year. I haven't been watching. It's funny now that Malik Willis is gone. I haven't watched any of the Titans, so I have no idea. The Titans gave up 33 points last week to the Rams and scored 19. I did see that nice play by Cam Ward. Let's see. Only more victory is our opponent missed a game-winning field goal. 91 Giants 91, but I'll take it. Protects, what's up? Protects, my brother. The game was exciting, but the end result was terrible. Just can't seem to win it when it matters. We just can't seem to win it even when it doesn't matter. That's the problem. Dexter Lawrence was very defensive during the post-game interview. He is done with the coaching staff, losing the team, the fans, and reporters or expectations. Here's the problem. We have expectations for Dexter Lawrence, and Dexter Lawrence is not living up to any expectations. I said this before. There's a guy in Seattle,
king of the almost sack,
who last season had a better year than Dexter Lawrence and is having a better year than Dexter Lawrence now. Just bring back Wink and let the pieces would shine. They would. You need an attacking style defensive coordinator that's going to go man to man, that's going to give you different, more exotic looks on the rush instead of trying to bring four and generate the rush with four like you did in Tennessee. Now, the big claim to fame for Shane Bowen before he came in was his red zone defense, but when you give up 40 points, there's not much red zone defense. The Giants are a teenagers Madden fantasy draft. They are. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Let's see. Mike Lee says some coordinators need to stay coordinators. Turner and Spags are prime examples. Third and Schlong said Bo played pretty well. Bo also gave up some pressures and he gave up a couple quarterback hits, but we don't want to talk about that. Emmanuel says dream coaching hire. Head coach Gruden, offense coordinator Mike McDonald, defense coordinator Wink, just a dream, or Antonio Pierce. Only thing I like out of that, my brother, is the head coach. That's the only thing I like out of that situation. Let's see here. Yeah, Bo has to buy his house next to Dart. Yeah, he should. James Stein says, with this team going 0-17, clinching the first overall pick, I believe Neighbors will demand a train to a Super Bowl contender because he wants a Super Bowl ring. He doesn't want to waste his career here on a shitty team. Oh, that's why I said I would not buy a Malik Neighbors jersey. Because, yeah, I understand they're going to have 3 years left on his deal after this season, but if you have another if he has another big season and you have another shitty season, yeah, this guy is probably going to be slightly upset. This guy is probably going to be a little perturbed, and I wouldn't be shocked if he tried to force a trade. Does anyone talk about the fact that Manning Arch was only 11 for 25 for 140 and 114 a touchdown interception? What happened to the Messiah? Kept saying, look up Chris Sims, Major Applewhite. Russ Protexo says Russ was very impressive. Hopefully he has a good year, but I don't see this team doing much. Here's my concern about Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson threw for over 400 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then fell off the chart last year. Let's see. Thor says, even if we fired Daboll, not sure we have the DC that want to work with Daboll. Bowen, that is, I should say. I think part of the issue is guys hard to work with. You know what I find really weird? You know what I find severely strange here? And I think it's because of the fact of the personality with Wink. And Wink challenged Daboll. Last season with Wink, Daboll went after Wink on the sideline for blitzing too much. He went after, first of all, you don't go after your coordinator on the sideline. But he went after Wink on the sideline because he was blitzing too much and he wanted him to blitz less. And Wink basically just said, fuck off. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. You're getting shredded in this soft zone style defense. You were getting picked apart, but you don't see Daboll running over to Bowen and saying, hey, listen, we need to change it up a little bit. This is not working. Analytics is costing us the team. What do we got? Roussard Records says, this is what happens when you can't admit you made a mistake in an organization. Mayor should have cleaned house the past off season like a competent organization would have. They should. They really should. They need to take anyone out of the building whose last name is Mara. Isaiah Rogers says, Tim, how do you like Brian Burns playing linebacker? I don't like Brian Burns playing linebacker at all. Last year, everyone kept telling me how much he was going to play linebacker. He's going to be this guy. Yeah, he played 26 plays off the line of scrimmage last year. Brian Burns does what Brian Burns does. He'll take advantage of certain situations. He'll get you sacks. He'll look like a competent edge stuffer for a play or two, but then he's just going to get eaten alive, and he's going to get eaten alive in coverage. That's all there is. That's all there is to it. And like I said, I like Brian Burns as a player. He does not seem like he attacks better as a linebacker. I like Brian Burns as a player, but he's limited at what he can do as a player. Kareem, what's up? How's it doing this afternoon? Well, it's doing pretty shitty. Coach D says Daboll comes up with the shit on Xbox. El Gigante says, I love how the narrative is how we are a competitive team. This is year 4. We demand wins. I am out of moral I'm all out of moral victories. Yeah. I want us to be competitive, but you have an opportunity to take a win in Dallas, which you haven't done since Eli Manning, and it's a divisional game, and you can go 1-1, and you don't do it. What's up, Mr. Esquire? Hola, Tim. Let's say cool hair day. I'm having a good hair day. Yeah. Bowen will contribute to this year's winless season. Sign a pissed off Giant fan. B. Will says we keep drafting players for the Wink system. Just have Bowen as coach now. That is a problem, though. You keep taking guys like you have this attacking style defense, and you have a bend not break guy. What's Antonio Pierce doing these days? I don't think he's doing anything. James Stein says, Tim, that's what I've been saying. The hell I remember when you said when you neighbors can get there because we still had Jones, but when Jones is gone, we are still a shitty team, and after this year, Daboll will be gone. Oh, he's gonna want out. Settle the lawsuit and hire Brian Flores. Is LT and Carl Banks available? Bring Gary Reasons out of retirement. I said it. Gary Reasons right now is crying that his number 55 is looking like that. I agree. I saw Malik Manners scored the late touchdown. I was so hyped until I looked down and saw there were still 25 seconds left. Literally, like I said, I cut the thumbnail for the video. When there's literally there was literally 4 seconds left. And this is the thumbnail I created. I was like, and like I said, I was already creating it. I was like, my wife was like, what are you, crazy? They're going to win. I'm like, no, they're not. Because I know this team. I've been a Giant fan too long. Bobby Humphreys still having nightmares. Bobby Humphreys and that tackle in the snow in Denver when towards the goal line when Gary Reasons came flying across the middle. Jay Ferry says, just become a Colts fan and a Packers fan. Thor says, again with we played so well, it was Dallas. Thank you. I'm tired of hearing that. We played so well. The Cowboys defense sucks. And they were playing without their second best corner, without Parsons. This was the game because they traded Parsons away that we were going to win. I remember that. Bowen is a flag football coach, says Coach D. I think that's disparaging flag football coaches anywhere. Todd Taylor says Mahomes is beating us or dying on national television. We're cooked. Yeah, I would have been happier if they beat the Philadelphia Eagles. I would have been happier. Hit the like button. Let's get to 75 likes. We got 119 people. We should get up to 75 likes right now. Let's see here. Maddening, says Luke. I was telling my friend while watching when the Giants could play their arguably best football in 5 years and lose because of stupidity. We've said this before, and you're right. No one play caused the Giants to lose this game yesterday because a lot of people are blaming Russell Wilson. Here's the problem, and like I said, Bill Parcells said it best. You don't lose a game on one play. You lose a game on a series of play, which led to that last play that cost you the game. There's 6 or 7 other plays during the game that if you would have completed or if you would have done or you would have had to stop, you never would have even gotten to that last play. Yes, the Colts went on the Colts did went on a flag and a field goal. That was kind of bullshit, but Coach D says, why do we have only 1.5 linebackers? I don't even know if we have a half a linebacker because the half a linebacker and Darius Musa got hurt. Hey-oh. Oh my God. But don't worry, Abdul Carter is going to be stellar because you know what? We play him more. It's amazing. The more and more you play Abdul Carter, the less effective he becomes. That's what that's what kills me. The more less effective he becomes, the more you play him. And that's because of the fact that, like I said, he is an undersized defensive end that you think you can play at linebacker, but you can't because he proved in college he was not an off the ball linebacker. So this is the guy that gets like 60 snaps yesterday and basically has minimum to zero impact. I mean, that's crazy. And that's why I kept telling people, and I'm not saying he's a bust, but I keep telling people he's Bryce Huff. He's a situational pass rusher. You bring him in on obvious passing downs and third downs, and you let him use his speed. You let him get his 12.5 sacks. So what? He only gets you 38 tackles. It's not the kid's fault you took him 3rd overall when you probably should have traded out of that pick because none of the picks in the first 10 made sense for the Giants outside of someone like Tyler Warren. It's not the kid's fault, but don't keep putting him in a situation, a system that doesn't work for him, which I don't get because you rotated it. The last 2 preseason games, we rotated him in on 3rd down. Wan'Dale Robinson is our number 2. Let's just slow down the Papa Smurf for a minute. Let's just slow down the Papa Smurf for just a little bit. Just a little bit. And then we'll get, oh, look, I must have did some signal or something that activated the camera again. I don't know. Mr. Fitness, what's going on, brother? Ty Warren is the league's next great tight end. I agree. Woulda, coulda, shoulda comes to mind. Mr. Fitness says Shane and Daboll saw film on Hudson and said, "Yep, that's our guy." Then asked about the question because he's mean. Well, I gotta give Daboll credit. He's gonna have to go back and look at the film on Hudson before he can make any type of decisions. He's gonna have to take a look at the film. I can't wait till we win a game. I really can't. I can't wait till we win a game. Coach D said, we once had the worst offensive line, but Eli won a Super Bowl. That's the difference between Eli and DJ for all the DJ fanboys. Yeah, the 2011 team had one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Yes, he did. Strider says, hey, Tim, I'm at work. God, that loss was painful. Yep, painful was painful. Russ strikes again. It's not Russell Wilson's fault. And I keep saying this to people. Russell Wilson, Parcells said it. You don't lose a game on one play. There's a series of plays during the game, like 6 or 7 of them, which leads you to that last play that if you would have made those plays, you never would have been on that last play. I'm waiting to see Dex check Hudson. Dexter Lawrence is not a leader. He's an okay dancer, part-time defensive lineman, but he's not a leader. He's not a leader of this team. And that's the problem. We don't have a leader. You don't have a Strahan. You don't have an Antonio Pierce. You don't have a Harry Carson or George Martin. You don't have a leader. You don't have a Jesse Armstead. You don't have an Eli Manning. You don't have a player that steps up and says, listen, cut the shit. Jovi says, Russell is toast with a Vegemite. With the Vegemite sandwich. I come from the land down under. Bavaro was Brandon in the playoffs. He's Brandon Trucked Hall of Fame. Strider says, Tim, the Cowboys tried to give the game away and we failed. Mr. Fitness says, if Robinson was running past the secondary, wouldn't the game maybe be Hyatt could have played? Yeah. If you literally are seeing Wando Robinson getting open deep, why wouldn't you put in a guy that has speed? Because, and like I said, if you everyone wants to blame Russell Wilson, but nobody wants to talk about the play where Wandell stopped in the overtime. And then Russell threw him the ball. Why'd you stop running your route? OG says, Tim, I was one of the first to say the Giants should get Gruden. I said it last year and stand on that. I hope John Mara makes the right decision next season. He won't. He didn't make the right decision last season. Strider says, I can't believe Bowen is still with us, but it's the New York Football Giants. We got 2 stops in OT. Russell didn't cook, man. Russell Wilson throws for 400 yards. Gives you the lead twice in the fourth quarter. The last time with 20-something seconds left, and it's Russell Wilson's fault.
Are you crazy? Ow!
Yeah, I'm crazy. What made you think I was sane?
The Woke Club won't let in Gruden. Mr. Fitness says we should have gone to overtime. They should have never gone to overtime. They found every way to give Dallas that game. Strider says first half defense was okay, but second half was crap meal. You give up 21 points in the second half. Yeah. Mr. Bruce says, remember when Wandell scored the touchdown and told the crowd hush, and then the neighbor scored a touchdown. He did this, and he did the Steph Curry celebration. We look stupid. That's right. Even though we lost, at least we were able to score 30 points. See, that's looking for a silver lining. That's a silver lining. That is. Gregory, you're all right. Whoever blames Russell Wilson is a fucking idiot. But I'm being nice today. OG says Dexter Lawrence is trying to get out of New York, to be honest. I honestly don't. Let's get up to 85 likes. I don't know what's going on with Dexter Lawrence. I really don't. I really don't know what's on his mindset. He seems like he's getting a little surly and a little sullen. I don't know what's on. I really don't know what's on his mindset right now. I wish I could tell you what he's thinking, because I don't know. And I really do wish I could. And for people that are thinking that the Giants have found their offense, it's just Dallas. It's just Dallas. I love it. Somebody was posting. Lawrence Times was posting. Oh, here we go.
Stupid giant Twitter post.
Well, this one goes out to Lawrence Times because we've said it before. What do you call a guy that hangs out with football players? A kicker. I think it's fair to say that no Giant fan is surprised by this. We have seen him play at a high level, not consistently, but he's done it in spurts. Happy for DJ. He gave it everything out there as a Giant. So my response was, didn't Saquon Barkley? Neighbors traded to the Chiefs is my prediction. I don't think he's not getting traded this year, but I could see him going, oh my God, I forgot. I got the damn thing on the camera on. Let's see here. Arch is tanking. So I like that. Arch is tanking. So we don't get him. So we can get him in the 5th in 2027. Jake Ferris says, would you trade a top 3 wide receiver in the second year of his rookie deal? Well, he'll be in his 3rd year. It'll be in his 3rd year. Pimp Dank Slickback says the secondary is just god awful, man. Solidarity Cam says, can we start Dart? Ross played good, but he threw for 400 yards. I don't understand, Giant fan. 450 yards, 3 touchdowns, and an interception, averaged 11 yards a completion. Neighbors is number 1 in receiving. Papa Smurf the 6th. Mr. Fitness says the Giants have been so bad for so long that we celebrate a close loss. James Williams, I knew this was coming. Get Buffalo, take Neighbors and trade to the Buffalo, then get Shane fired because Bean hires him back in Buffalo because someone has to go with Dunkin' Donuts for coffee. Mike Lee says until Mara feels it in his pocketbook, he'll have no incentive. He's a businessman over championships. They just sold 10% of the Giants for $10 billion. So I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. El Big El Gigante says, so let's play the game. Who's fired first? Bowen, Daboll, Kafka, Shane. Bowen to me gets fired first. Albert said, training the deadline, we should rebuild, trade Dexter Lawrence and Banks. I did a video before training camp or the draft. I don't remember which one it was. And I said we should trade Dexter Lawrence. And everyone tells me I'm fucking crazy. And I'm saying you get something for him when he is at his highest value. Because defensive linemen have a tendency towards 27, 28, especially ones that are larger bodied, to all of a sudden have a decline in play. So trade him when his asset is at its highest, when the league thinks of him the most is at his highest, and move on and get something for him. But whatever. Solidarity says, I'm tired of blaming the coaches when the players didn't execute. Russ got chances in overtime. Russ also gave you the lead twice in the 4th quarter, and last time with 26 seconds. So you're right. It is Russell Wilson's fault. Coach D says, sounds of Gary Reason hit is still echoing through the universe. Ellie Moore Fudd is like a trusted appliance. I don't think about it and worry about it. Just shows up and does his job. Kevin says Patrick Mahomes is going to have a lot of fun with this defense. Patrick Mahomes, I think, still ran for 79 yards against the Eagles. Russell also threw. He didn't throw. Solidarity Camp, you're too fucking stupid to be here.
Think you gonna get away with it? Not up in here. Not up in here.
Go watch Chode Sports. They're nice and slow. You can enjoy their content because they're nice and slow and stupid. So go over there. I don't want to see you. I don't want you part of this team. I don't even want you near the stream ever again because you are a fucking moron. And I am not dealing with morons. Hey, Strider, remember when the Carter had that nice tackle on 2nd and 29 in overtime? Oh, crap. That was bad. Robert says, no legit GM. Coach, it comes to fix the mess. We got to stick with an assistant coach GM for another team and a coach Belichick tree, poisonous fruit again. Football with the fellows about Big Blue. Have Hudson and Bowen been fired yet? Asking for a friend. I hope to God they are. I hope both of them are sharing a cab. Well, I guess it would be, I'm old. Hope both of them are on a ride share with Uber. Look at that. I'm young and hip now. Hello. This is how we do it. See? Mike Lee says, wasn't that judge excuse? He had to look at the film. Yes, but it's also Brian Daboll's excuse every week. We did have a leader. His name was Saquon. Yeah, but too bad he's over in Philadelphia. Getting one of these. I have to admit, this ring cracks me up. I find myself when I'm working in the office pushing the button on the ring going, caca! So that ring cracks me up. It's fun. It's fun to play with.
That's what she said.
Oh, James Williams says, we let a guy run for 20 on a second and a miles when we could have backed them up. Yep. I don't care, says James, about beating the Saints. They have less talent on paper than we do. I don't know about that anymore. Gregory says, whoever blames Russ is an idiot. You're right. Shane Bowen is the worst DC I've seen in my life. No, I do not want Lovie Smith. No, and Gregory, I agree with you. Shane Bowman is one of the worst defensive coordinators I have ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them. But yeah, no, I don't think. No, just no, no. Let's see here. Do you think Lovie Smith would be a good head coach for this team next year? No, Lovie Smith has been out of the league since he got fired in 2020. I think Lovie Smith is another one of those guys that was a better. He was also the coach at Illinois, head coach at Illinois. I forgot about that. He did a stint in Illinois. Maybe he goes back to college. I don't think he's doing anything, but he was a guy that, he had a nice run. I think he had 81 wins and 63 losses, and he lost in the Super Bowl to Indianapolis, but that was in 2006. And then he had the 2-year stint at Houston, Tampa, where he was 8-24. And then his last season in Houston was 3-13. So, I mean, in his last half of his coaching career in over 3 seasons, he had 11 wins and 37 losses. He was 11-37. So no, I can't go. I can't go Lovey. Oh, Lovey. Defensive coordinator is trash. Spencer Rattler will probably look like Jonathan Moxon against us. Yeah. Gregory says Deck needs to get his shit together. OG Knock, I agree with that. OG Knock is just reading Dex Lawrence's body language and saying, I'm done with this team. This is a good. I got to get to Coach Dave's in a second, but yeah, Dexter Lawrence, just his body language is. I'm into body language because I took psychology for a bunch of years, and his body language is kind of interesting because you're right. He kind of has this look that I don't think he's disinterested, but I just think he's getting sick of it. Robert says, hit the like button and buy proper bags like everyone else for next Saturday. I'll be there next Saturday. Coach D says, why does Theo Johnson move like Herman Munster? This guy is nothing more than a cover model who wants to look like a tight end. You used them early on. Dallas figured out how to neutralize them. That's why he needed someone like Ty Warren. And I don't get it because of the fact that he literally does lumber. Jake Ballard was a guy that lumbered, but somehow he made it work for a short period of time before he got hurt in the Super Bowl. He's a lumbering tight end. He is an old school, old fashioned Herman Munster style tight end. You're right. Mark Sanchez never threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. Let's pump the brakes on the Wilson hate. Omega Supreme says, I feel a fire sale coming soon for this team. Hyatt's gone, Banks is gone, Thomas is gone, Gilliam is gone, and so on and so on and so on. You can't get rid of Andrew Thomas. You can't. And I don't know. Again, we've talked about this before. I don't know if his injuries or is he injury prone or just unlucky, because there is a difference. I've talked about it before. When I played, I was injury prone. I was always hurt. There was always something falling off. From week to week, it's like, Tim's shoulder fell off again. Tape it back up. He'll be good. But I've told people I was injury prone. You get 2 ACLs in the same, within 14 months. Yeah, you're injury prone. So I don't know if he's injury prone yet or if he is just unlucky. And he's 26 years old, and when he is healthy, he's the best tackle in the league. Whoever's saying Russell Wilson played a bad game is idiotic. That interception wasn't good, but stop blaming somebody who threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now let's see. Mr. Protect says, I think we need to trade Dexter Lawrence if they have a crappy record before the trade deadline. I agree. Hire Gruden. He would be good for Dart's development. I don't know about that. I think Gruden is more of a veteran quarterback guy. Evan says, I don't hate the idea of trading Dexter. We need a full rebuild. Banks has gotten worse, shaking my head. Gregory also says, when Bowen gets fired, do we promote and take over the defense? Maybe Antonio Pierce. Antonio Pierce was not that great of a defensive coordinator. I don't know why everyone's so in love with Antonio Pierce. Was not a very good head coach and not a good offensive defensive coordinator. Matthew says, sup, Tim and OBB fam. We all know Merritt doesn't have the stones to blow shit show up. This entire coaching staff should be leveled. I agree. Hit the like button, guys. We still have 95 people in the room. Let's get up to 90 likes before we leave. 161 people still watching. Banks is turning into Eli Apple 2.0. No, the problem was we knew Eli Apple was going to be bad. Well, not bad. We knew Eli Apple was handsy. And Banks, I don't think is bad. I think Banks is just literally in the wrong fucking system completely. OG Knockout says, the funny thing about how Giants fans praise Daniel Jones but hate Saquon Barkley. Yeah, I don't understand that either. Todd says, it's not true. Grab Apple unless close enough to have a pitiful fistful jersey. Banks just gets beat. Sanchez was not a Giant. No, but I think he was making a point there. Honeypot says, I was close, T-Money. I said 41-40. You did. You did. I was actually we were going to go through. James even said there was someone that said 41-40. You did. I was going to bring that up. James, it was funny. James Williams texted me last night and said, someone said 41-40. And we had to look it back up again. Open up the lines. All right, listen, Mr. Bruce, I'm going to open up the lines for a second, for a few minutes here, just to get people's pissed off reaction. But I don't have a lot of time today. But let me open up. Let me just do this real quick for you here. Let me do this real quick here for you. There you go. There you go, Mr. Bruce. I put the needle on the record here. Jay Ferris says, fire sale teams at the end of their Super Bowl windows when everyone is high paid and old. Not this team at all. Matty Ice, what's up? Coach Bowen is so bad. Cowboys knew that they were calling on long. I don't understand. I'm watching some of the plays going into that field goal, and the Giants corners are literally playing like 12 yards, 13 yards off the line. Listen, I understand the philosophy. You never want to get beat deep. But when you need a field goal to tie and you're giving a 12 to 13 to 15 yard cushion and you have a kicker that could probably make it from 70 on the opposing side, you don't creep a little bit. Let's see here. We should have gotten Adam Peters as this GM. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. You're right. Matthew says they throw Daboll and Bowen off the bus. Mike Kafka. No Kafka. I had to stop at the Kafka comment. No, Kafka has one good game as an OC. Nope, can't do it. Don't think the Mara fires in season unless that's like immune. If you go 1-8 going into after that Philly game, you have to. And you go 1-8, you're 0-4 in the division. You have to fire him. You have to fire him. Super Bowl ring is nice. Yeah, Trenton. You may be an Eagle fan, but do you have one of these? You got one of those? They are nice. They're actually very well made. James Stein said that's from Eagle Fandom 1123. He sent it to me. He sent it to me. He DM'd me on. We were DMing on Twitter before the Super Bowl, not even before the Super Bowl, like a couple months before the Super Bowl, and he was like, "I'm going to send you a replica ring." I was like, "Well, I'll send you a giant replica ring when they win in 2028. Tim for GM in 2026. Oh yeah, because that'll go really well. That'll go real well. Listen, I could screw up. I could screw up just as bad as Shane Bowen, Omar, Andrew Thomas, Mr. Glass. Yo. Coach, let's see. Jay Fair says, lucky this is like having someone dive on your foot. Having soft tissue and broken bone is injury prone. No, not really. I can tell you from experience, not really. Because of the fact it depends on how someone dives on your foot. It depends on the velocity. It depends on a lot of things. You want to talk about injury prone. This is injury prone. In one game I was in, the play was literally over, and I was slowing up, and I twisted the wrong way, and I popped my shoulder out. That's called being injury prone. Coach D, let's see. Coach D says Thomas stays Bows going anywhere up in the line unless you want a stud left tackle. Every quarterback wants a stud center. Tim, could you do a better job than Joe Shane? Yeah. You want me? Yeah. Could I do a better job than Dave Gettleman? Sure. Because when the bar is so low, if you go back, and I'm not tooting my horn against anything, but if you go, these are wings. These are wings on this ring. That is a wing. Those are wings. That's pretty cool. But if you go back and watch my draft videos, I think like 80-90% of the people I would have picked are being successful elsewhere. And most of the times I give these giant draft grades, I have to hear how stupid I am. And then like 3 years go by and no one ever comes back and apologizes. Nobody ever says anything. But yeah, I can do a better job, Joe Shane. Sure. Matthews, I can suck just as bad.
That's what she said.
Joe Shane will blow up his roster. That will be the admission of failure. He will start scapegoating coaches. They need an overhaul anyways. Hopefully Mara lets Shane go at the end of the year. Let's see. OG Knox says, I'm not political at all, but if we are Americans don't get along with China is going to kick our ass in the future. People need to stop with the racist shit on both sides. Love more and hate. I don't know what happened with China. what happened with China? I don't know. What happened? China's going to kick our ass either way. But what happened with China? I agree with the racist thing. I agree with the races and the division thing. You may disagree with Charlie Kirk, but disagreement like this channel, disagreements are what makes the channel good, which invokes conversation. Unless you say something stupid and don't back it up with facts, but it invokes conversation. It invokes both sides having the ability to talk, and you silencing one half of the side because you don't like what they're saying, because of the fact that things that they're saying is backed up by statistics and facts and logic and common sense. And your thought process is, well, the only way I can win this argument is to eliminate the other side. And I love it because that Charlie Kirk even said violence occurs when people stop talking. And you could agree with his politics. You could not agree with his politics, but that's when violence occurs, when conversations end. And people think because of the fact that they don't have a legitimate point to stand on, the only way that they can win this situation is by eliminating the other person. That's fucked up. And for the people that were cheering for his death, you're fucking morons and assholes. Because of the fact that he's not only a human being, but he is a son. He is a husband. He's a father. And you took that away because you didn't like what he was saying politically because you're a furry and you have a transitioning girlfriend/boyfriend. I'll break the news to you. That's stuff like that. Transgenderism is kind of a mental illness. And even is kind of defined that way. If the guy gets injured and misses games every season, isn't that the textbook injury? No, there's a difference between injury prone and having bad luck. There are guys that never got hurt in college, all of a sudden show up to the NFL and get hurt. And it doesn't mean they're injury prone. There's a big difference. Walter says Banks is the man-to-man cover guy. We have been playing zone. It's the same thing with Paulson and Tebow. Matthew says Joe Shane has literally missed over 80% of the draft picks so far. His performance value just isn't there. You also take a look at his Take a look at his free agents and everything else. Matt Strider says, Tim, we don't have any press cover. We don't have any press coverage rejecting receivers to not into their book. No, we don't do that. That Shane Bowen doesn't do that. Coach D says no such thing as an Eagle. They're the NFC East Seahawks. Listen, man, I can't bash the Eagles. What have they gone to 4 Super Bowls or 3 Super Bowls in 7 years and won 2 of them? We wish we were the Eagles. Think about it. The Eagles are what we were in the early 2000s or in the mid 2000s. Let's see here. Todd says in the middle of the field was wide open as well. You're right. Just to clarify, what are you just clarifying? I don't know what you're clarifying. Coach says most injuries are from impact, not unlucky. Yes, that's what I'm saying. It's that's what I'm saying. But there you have certain body types where you can sustain the impact. I know this firsthand. I've seen players take hits that I took and I came out with like a broken hand, and I've gone through the same type of impact and had nothing wrong with them. Why is Hyatt dressing up and not getting any snaps? Practicing for Halloween. We got to give a big shout out to Robert, who gave out the membership store online, Big Blue OG Club. Everyone give Robert a big thank you. My third and long schlong says, my fear is if we fire Daboll and Shane, does that make Dart a wasted pick? New GM, new coach will want their own guy. Third and schlong, I'm going to tell you a little story here. There was a team years ago that had a certain quarterback that a lot of people didn't believe in, and they fired their head coach, they fired their general manager, and this team went shopping for a head coach and general manager who said that they could make this guy into a player. And lo and behold, 3 years later, they got rid of him. Of course, we're talking about Daniel Jones. I said this before. Most coaches that would want to come in here would not want to have Daniel Jones. That's why we landed on Shane and Daboll. The bar is so low that in hell with some of the fan base, the bar really is so low. 23 draft class looks especially bad. Do you think Dart will be the quarterback next season? I don't know yet. I really don't know if he's going to be a quarterback next season because I haven't seen him play yet this season, but you kind of hope. China's gearing up for war, and we're fighting each other, shaking our heads. Coming to America, we don't know just yet. China's always gearing up for war. China actually now is a larger navy than we do. We still outgun most people with air superiority, but they can control more of the seas, which is a problem because the Navy over the last 4 years has gone downhill because we decommissioned a bunch of ships and we had a senile president who decided he didn't want to build up the Navy anymore. So we are actually at some of the lowest levels in reference to ships that we've had since World War II. But that's okay. Like I said, we don't need boots on the ground. We can have intelligence from everywhere else. We can get intelligence every place else. We don't need boots on the ground. Respect, Tim. Well said. Thank you. The world is a scary place. The world is a scary place because of the fact that you have a segment of the population that just feels that they're right about everything. And if you don't agree with them or do what they say, you are against them and you are racist and you're a fascist. I love when people yell fascist. Fascist. When you silence a political opposition because you don't like what they're saying and you eliminate them because of that, that actually makes you a fascist. That makes you Mussolini. And people forget Mussolini was a fascist and the millions of people that died under Mussolini. So you got to remember that. So I love it because you ask people that call people a fascist. You're like, well, define fascism. Why am I a fascist? And none of them can. And they give you these definitions, or they don't tell you anything. And you're supposed to. And they're like, well, and then they just say, well, you're because you're racist. You're a fascist because you're racist. Okay. And I love it because they always define fascism as a far right authoritarian, ultranational political idea, an authoritarian dictatorship. Well, when you are suppressing freedom of thought, that's kind of what the left does. When you believe in violence and glorify violence to solve a problem, That's what the left does. Scapegoating is another good term of fascism. You scapegoat everyone else for everything else. That's what the left does. Opposition to any other ideology, that historically is fascist. You want to have a state-controlled economy, which is steeped in socialism, that's fascism. But they say the right is fascist because of the fact that they want free markets, free expression, open thoughts, and allow people to express their opinions. But okay, I know the truth. I love the truth. Even when it hurts. So do I. Albert says, if the Giants had a top 3 pick next year, would you draft another quarterback? No. I like Sellers out of South Carolina, but this roster is so fucked up. It makes it hard to take another quarterback right now. Plus, the fact we also don't know what's going on with Jaxson Dart. Thank you, Tim. You're Mr. Well, please. You're very welcome. Man, again, let's thank Robert. And if you believe that the kid killed Kirk, you read Starman. Oh, the kid did it. There was no, and I don't want to get into this, but because I have a military, somewhat of a military background. The way that shot was fired from the prone position as a sniper position, you could tell it was done by an amateur, because there was literally a ledge just below him. A sniper is never going to be in the open. There was a ledge below him that would have concealed where he was at and literally gave him a better vantage point and better trajectory. In other words, because when you're shooting from an elevated position, you have to take a look at your angle and your angle of trajectory going in. And what happened is, if you take a look at the video, the way he was hit in the neck, it was almost like a Trump thing. If he turned his head or he moved an inch to the right, to the left, he would have missed. And a professional sniper is taught, you don't aim for the neck. You go head or center mass. You never go for the point where you cannot hit the target. You're going to go center mass or you're going to go right here, because it's going to inflict maximum damage. It was a lucky shot. It was and like I said, another inch to one way, and from way it was basically 150 yards out with a Mauser with that scope, and it was a 10-time scope. Anyone that has had any familiarity with a rifle from a prone position could take that shot. Lopez says 3-0 on the horizon. Get Russ out. Put in Jameis. Howie Rosen is the best GM, hands down. He is. I'm not gonna lie and tell. I'm not gonna lie and not practicing for Halloween. He was practicing for Halloween. He was. Todd says, hate the Eagles, but they are 2-0 and obviously haven't played great. They haven't played great yet. That's what gets me. Because the Giants will wait till the end of the season. I don't think they should. I can't hate the Eagles. I can hate on Dallas because they suck like this, but I can't hate on the Eagles. The fact that we live in a world where Indiana Jones is 2-0 in the AFC is wild. PB says, if you're always getting injured, seems like splitting hair. No, there is a big difference. And I can tell you this from actual people with football knowledge. There is a difference between being injury prone and unlucky. There is a huge difference. Big Tim, what's up, Prince? Big loss yesterday, but seeing your live streaming videos always cheer me up. Keep spreading the news. I'm leaving today. Mr. Lopez says, Tim, how long before Daniel Jones stitched the bed? Well, he shit the bed yesterday. It was just the fact that the guy dropped the interception and they had the penalty on the field goal. It took me 2 months to come back from a chronic ankle sprain. I was the textbook definition of injury prone. That's what I'm saying. There is a huge difference between being hurt and injury prone and just bad fucking luck. Like I said, I always, and you could, my hands, I can't, certain fingers are bending certain ways and going opposite directions because I broke my fingers so many times. I was always breaking my fingers. I had to tape up my fingers almost every week. I always broke my fingers. And I've seen people that go in, make the same tackles, do the same thing, and never have any issues. And me, I would go and make a tackle, wrap up, do a textbook, wrap up around the waist, lift up, drive with my hips, put them into the dirt. I'd come up with 2 broken fingers. Let's put your name in the GM hat. Put your name in the hat for GM, Tim. Why not? They should have a contest. My sister's friend's a social worker, missed 7 months with a sprained ankle. It happens. It literally happens. And as you get older, and football age, 27 to 32 was older. Sliders says, Tim, nobody knows what fashion means. They're just saying it sounds smart, but in reality, they're stupid. Well said. Omar says, Danny Dimes, like every other top pick we have let go, is showing it's not them, it's the organization. It's not you, it's me. BP says, ask people to define fascism. They know the definition. They won't stop using the word fascism. Comes from the left, just an FYI. Yes, but they refer to it as most people think that fascism is and they define it that, and actually I believe AI defines it as a far-right authoritarian philosophy. But yeah, it's, oh no, MAGA time. No, it wasn't MAGA time. I'm actually a registered independent. I'm what they refer to as a fiscal conservative. But I believe in free speech. I believe in the Second Amendment. I believe Lee Harvey acted alone. Someone named that movie. I'll give you a hint. Kevin Costner was in it. Mike Lee says, name calling because they don't have an intelligent argument. I agree. I am a racist because I hate liverwurst. I'm a racist because I hate everybody. I always love it because I am an equal opportunity hater. I literally don't like people in general. Greg says, or if you don't agree with certain countries in the Middle East, you're anti-Semitic. That's yeah. It's based, Tim. Thank you, Brownie. Fascism and communism both come from socialism. Socialism come from Marxism. Karl Marxism. Hard left again. Yeah, I know. BP, listen, I know. I get it. You get it. But the problem is there is a population out there in the youth that just glom on to key words and they don't know the meanings behind it. That's why I get so mad. Like, go to Google or AI or whatever. I don't use AI because, listen, I believe in Skynet. And do you really want Skynet or AI to have what's in this brain? The world will be over in 48. Well, if I go on AI, world will be over in 48 minutes. Because Skynet will be like, damn, this motherfucker. So I don't go on it because I know better. But if you go on any of these AIs, just type in what fascist means, and I guarantee you, all of them will say it's a far-right authoritarian ideology. I guarantee it. Someone go do it while I wait, because I got to get out of here in a few minutes. Fascism is an ancient concept in the Middle East, the Eastern word, Latin for Greek concept describing the cost of arms of ancient Babylonian warlord. I am the nearest historian. Thank you. Tim Gregg says, Tim, I also did a backflip when you said you wouldn't draft a quarterback. I can't take it. I can't draft a quarterback. I can't draft a quarterback next year. I got to wait and see what Jaxson Dart does. The word is what we had several visitors in the house out of the state tags before the shooting. Looks like a hit was ordered and was just an idiot who carried it out. Probably Antifa ordered. Yeah, the guy was not professional. You could, like I said, you could tell by where he perched. You could tell by the angle of the wound. You could tell by the fact that there was a prone covered position directly below him, which would have kept him completely out of sight and gave him an ability to, instead of climbing off the roof, get out without being seen, totally without being seen. So you can tell. Any hunters can hit that shot. It wasn't skilled. I agree. Okay, now Abdul, I know Abdul Carter and Michael both suck, but how do you kill someone with a sniper rifle? I don't get that, but okay. Coach, they say modern fascism is defined as the merger of corporate and state. Yes, but I'm just saying go to AI and type in what fascist means. And I guarantee you they're all going to say it's a far-right authoritarian political ideology. I guarantee it. Karl Marx was a student of Plato, which is where he drew his inspiration to create Marxism. If you want to throw around any history studying, I digress. I like history studying. How about Flores head coach and Gruden as offense coordinator? No, those two. That would be like fire and gasoline on top of fire. No, I don't want him as the OC. Flores is getting a head coaching job this season. I think he should wear the word fascism. Means faces. Okay. Flores is from New York and a huge Giant fan. Yeah, but we also were very upset with him. Barkley was injured. That's a great point. Barkley was injured and it was bad luck, but we refer to him here as injury prone. Lord Tim, who's the better team? The mid 80s, early 90s Giants or the current late December Giants? The early 80s Giants, because the early 80s Giants in 81 went to the playoffs and should have made the playoffs the second season before the strike and then before Ray Perkins went off to Alabama. Only Flores, his lawsuit includes the Giants. Mr. Antonio Weaver says, you want to know what else that really pissed me off when we signed Slayton? He's not the number 2. He's best the number 3. Remember when someone crossed neighbors, you can get open a la Cruz and Knicks. I said this a million times before. Slayton's a 3 on a good team. You couldn't give him 36, 3 years, 36. JFK was an interesting film. Yeah, it wasn't. We're with you, brother. Solidarity. I vote for my kitty. Only she likes me. It's all people. Let's see. I don't like everybody. I don't like anybody. So I always tell people, don't take offense if I don't like you. I don't like anybody. I am Clint Eastwood. I am the grumpy old man at times. If I could stay in my house forever, I would never go out. I mean, I would go outside. I like being outside, but I am. That's why I have a podcast. Get off my lawn, the mad ramblings of a Gen Xer, because of the fact that
Get off my lawn.
I am literally that guy. Hit the like button. Let's get up to 90. I got to go in a minute. Let's see here. 2 catches, 60 yards for Slayton for the season, 12 million. Yeah. Skynet is big. I know Skynet is here. That's why I don't go on AI. Imagine this brain and Skynet and AI, because that's what happens. You type this shit in. They're taking your thoughts, man. It's the government, man. That's all I need. Tim, everything went to hell once they closed Blockbusters. That one is still open in Alaska or Oregon. We should all go there. Free speech has to be absolute, or unless you have true free speech. Preach is never violent. Violence is violence. If you disagree with someone's words, you hurt their feelings, ain't violence. You're right. You're right. You're right. Far right. No, I'm not far right at all. I'm not far right at all, to be honest. If anything, I'm more center. I've told people I voted for the first term of I voted for the second term of Bill Clinton. I vote for what politically is best for myself and the nation. I don't vote because of an ideology. People just repeat what they see on the news and don't think and study it twice. If Jaxson Dart tears an ACL on his next bootleg appearance, how soon is Daboll fired? He should be fired the next day. Fascism is essentially the symbol of invasion by the such refuge. Can never say that word. Let's see. I swear, if I don't see breaking news, Shane Bowen got fired, I'm going to blow a gasket. That's what makes it worse about this regime is they completely do their homework. You forget. Let's see here. Mr. Weaver says when the announcer is calling for the DC to be fired and you're playing that dumbass soft zone, that's very telling. True. Let's see here. You forget everything right or left is far right. You're right. Sometimes you're right. I forgot about that. Vote to policy, not to people. There you go, Coach G. That's what I believe. Tim, what I meant is that on AI it says what I meant was on AI it said it was from far right, not you far. Oh, okay, thank you. All right. I was like, I wasn't sure where you were going. I meant when it said it was on AI, was from far right, not that you are. Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was like, I'm not far right. I'm actually what they refer to as a centrist. Yeah, I told you, go on AI, type in what fascism means, and it'll tell you. I'm telling you, it'll say far right authoritarian ideology. I'm going to tell you that right now. I could tell you that because that's just the way AI is right now. But thank you. Thank you for that clarification. I wasn't mad at you for thinking I was far right. I've been called. See, like I said, I've been called worse. Doesn't offend me. Doesn't irk my will. Antonio Weaver says, Tim, you think the DC gets fired this week? No way he lasts after the. I don't think they're going to fire anyone. I don't think they're going to fire anyone. What are we up to at the likes? We had 90 at least. We're 2 away from 90. Can we get to 90? Can we get to 90? I'm not asking for a lot. I am asking for a grilled cheese sandwich and maybe some soup. If that's possible. Is that possible? What am I looking at? I'm trying to see if they want to get fired. Travis Kelce's not happy. Travis Kelce. Remember when Tony Romo was dating the blonde? I wanted to say Debbie Gibson, but I don't remember who it was. And then he sucked. That's kind of what happened to Travis Kelce. Tomato soup. No, I don't want tomato soup, to be honest. Tim, thank you for reading through my typos. I just paintbrush for. Listen, I always read through the typos, man. You should see me type. Greg Olson knows bad defenses when he sees it. He did. Hit the like button so Tim could go get his grilled cheese and bowl of soup. Yeah, man. Hit the like button. I got to get some grilled cheese. I want to get a grilled cheese sandwich and some soup. And I got to pick up the kids in like an hour and 30 minutes. So I got a lot going on here, guys. It's not easy. It's not easy coming down in the office every day. James Stein says, that's how I vote for the guy that will make me the most and make my life better. You're right. But it is a perfect, it is going to be a perfect grilled cheese sandwich. My wife makes bread every week for the kids for their sandwiches. She makes homemade bread. So yeah, it's going to be a perfect grilled cheese sandwich. That's what it is. Is there any FB in the NFL where you'd like to see the Giants get Scatterboo and the rest of the running backs don't get to hit behind the line of scrimmage? No one's getting fired. Thank you for the Jessica Simpsons. Thank you for the vacation because you lost to the Giants in 2007 playoffs. Oh, Ryan says, oh boy, you're still not over this damn game. Jessica Simpson. Yeah, this game's gonna stick with us for a while, Ryan. This game is gonna stick with us for a while. All right, guys. We at 90. I wanted 100, but that's all right. I don't care. I'm tired. Tired. This team makes you tired. This team is just this team organizationally makes you tired. I don't know. I'm not gonna drink this early, but 89. All right, I'll deal with 89. Dak threw us 4 picks, and we caught just one of them. You're right. Jessica Simpson, you're right. And it's all peace. It's all peace and love. Just remember that. All right, guys, we're out of here. We'll have a video sometime this week, and I don't know. I think I'm going to do a show with Bad Dog on Friday. We had a preliminary conversation with it about it last week. Let me see if there's let me see. Hold on, let me see here. Yeah, let's shoot for Friday. Yeah, we were gonna shoot for Friday. So we'll we're gonna have to kind of wait and see what's gonna go on, but make sure you stay tuned for that. Gonna stream Ninja Garden. Go watch him. I hope with Chris. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Sure, okay. I don't think that's gonna happen. Sinking his teeth into the bite. Yeah, into the bite of the grilled cheese. All right, guys, I'm out of here. I already went over 2 hours. I was supposed to knock off under 2 hours, but I'm out of here at 91 likes. We're all good. And as always, follow us on Believe, FanDuel, ZipRecruiter, all that stuff. Have yourself a good night, and I am out of here.